speech as well. Right, I won't talk too long, although people say I do rabbit on a bit. 50 years we've been married, this very day. So it's the 15th of February, we couldn't afford to have a wedding on the 14th of February. And to be honest with you, I used to work for a lovely couple, Mr. and Mrs. Knox. Mrs. Knox, there, yeah, how are you going to say? Mrs. Knox keeps telling me to call her Millie, but we could never do that because it was always Mr. and Mrs. Knox. And we have a lot of respect for that lady. And we worked for Mrs. Knox when we decided we were going to get married and all that. So we got this weekend off. Yeah. So give you a little bit of background how we met. So it seems like a lifetime ago, to be honest with you. And some of you from Liverpool will remember, some of you may not. But we met at a club called the Beachcomber. Anybody remember the Beachcomber? I think it was on Seal Street. Yeah, Seal Street, yeah. And I was, if you picture the scene, I was in the Navy at the time. I was only young. Picture the scene. I was bronzed. I had a pocket full of money. I had a head full of hair. I had muscles to die for. And I turned up at the Beachcomber on a Tuesday. What happened there? I turned up at the Beachcomber on a Tuesday night. It was the deadest night in town, but because I was on leave, we just wanted to go out every night and have a drink and have a dance. And we turned up to the beachy, and there was me and my two mates from the Navy, and there was three girls? Oh, there was two girls in the club, that's all. And a lady called Sandra, is that right? Yeah, me and Sandra. Yeah, so I started chatting up Anne, and there was three of us, and my other mate was from a fellow called Clive from Walsall. He was a bit of a pleb, but you obviously could see quality. Anyway, cut long story short, we actually then we met next day at a place. It was like that film, you know, what's that film where you meet at a station and will she turn up? What's it called? Green Council, yeah, well, it was like that. So I said to Anne, and it was great because on the night at the beachy, she was drinking tomato juice, and I thought, well, this crack it here, it's not going to cost me too much money. She fancy meeting at the central station. And she said, yeah, I think you're there. Anyway, you didn't think I'd be there, did you? Me being such a hunk and that. And hold on, and a lot younger than her, by the way.
I drove past in a taxi in case he wasn't there.
Anyway.
He was stood there with his long coat on under an umbrella because we didn't have to chuck in there. And I drove past and I said to the taxi driver, if he's not there, drive round the corner, my mates are in the pub round the corner.
Anyway, bear with me because my things just
And he was there.
So we went to a pub called the Sportsman's on St John's. Anyone remember that? It was, you know, the upside down racing car. Do you remember that? Surprised I can remember. And anyway, we got talking, and then this was the 12th of March. 12th of March. So I remember that. See how good, aren't I? And then we got engaged. We used to go to Bailey's Cabaret Club in St John's, and then we were just like fell in love right away. And then the 19th of April, we got engaged. So that was like 5 weeks. And then I was going back to sea at the end of May. So I went off to sea, and this time my ships used to go around the Far East. This time, fortunately, it was only going around Europe. So I joined the ship in Swansea. I started going around Europe, and by the end of probably about the end of June, beginning of July, I thought I can't live without this woman. And you know what? I actually jumped ship. So the ship arrived in Thameshaven in London, and I jumped ship, me and my mate, and we said, oh, let's get off. All my luggage and stuff was still on the ship, and we hitched a ride down to London, and my brother Barry had a pub in London. the Pub Lotus. That also had racing cars, didn't it? Yeah. And I sat on his doorstep all night, because it was in the middle of the night. Didn't want to wake him up. And he got up in the morning, I was on his doorstep. And I said, I'm in love, I've got to get home. And he said, you better tell your dad. So anyway, I got home, got back with Annie, and then the lovely Mr. and Mrs. Knox were advertising for trainee managers. And for some reason, Mrs. Knox used to, should I say Millie or Mrs. Knox? Mrs. Knox used to advertise in the Echo, didn't you?
The Echo, yeah.
The Echo, yeah. So I'm so glad that they're here tonight, all the way from the Midlands. It's fantastic, yeah, it's lovely to see you. And we said, well, what we're going to do now, I've jumped ship, I've got a job, and you were working at Libby's, I think, in town. And we said, let's apply to this job, and we got a job at the old Washford Mill. You know it, don't you? And in Studley. Warwickshire. And it was good. I mean, she worked the most off me today, Mrs. Knox, but she and my friends, but well, that was tough, didn't we? But it was good, wasn't it? And it gave us such a good grounding, and that's how we sort of got into the pub game. And since then, you know, we've got two lovely kids, Andrew and Nicola. They make us proud every day. They do. We don't tell them so, but we do. And not just about the way they've developed their careers, but their families as well. You know, my 3 grandsons are there: Reese, Max, and Joe. And looking at me, you wouldn't believe it, but my grandson Joe, 28. 28. Oh dear, I was having kids when I was about 15. And then Max and Reese. So 20, about 2 or 3.
That's mum.
So you can see we haven't had the granddaughter, so I'm hoping, but I think it'll pass that one, Nick. So my grandsons tell me, don't worry, Granddad, you'll have a great granddaughter one of these days and it won't be too long. Now we're having a bet on this, whether it'll be Joe, I think Joe and Anna, or Reese might come up. I don't know. Max is fairly new in his relationship, so anyway, yeah, so I've got a lot of lovely brothers as well, and Anne's got a lovely big family as well, and a lot of them are here today, so I'm really pleased to come up a long way. Some from Liverpool, some from further afield, so I appreciate that. So in the time we were married then, we've had about 14 different addresses. I was working in the pub business, you moved around a bit. We weren't on the run, we just moved around a bit. We've had about 5 different dogs. You know what, I'm saying these figures, I've worked them out before, I was saying, we've got 5 dogs, we've had 3 cats, we've got so many houses. She'll say, it was 15 houses, Michael, and we actually had 7 dogs, not 15. And anyway, I'm going to get on. So we've made loads of friends. We've got a lovely family, and we've retired now. We moved to North Wales about 5 years ago, and all we do now is we take our little dog Gladys, who's called Gladys after Gladys Street, of course, and it's spelled the same way as Gladys Street. So we do that, and most of our time is we play ukulele, and we play ukulele a lot. And these are my ukulele friends here, and this is one of my ukulele friends. And we play for a number of different groups, but we started our own group about 18 months or so ago, called Fuzzy Ducks. It's out every Monday at Clandelass in North Wales. And we have a laugh, don't we, at Fuzzy Ducks? It's a good laugh, isn't it? Yeah. I know, so anyway, not long to go now, Dave, sorry. Anyway, I wouldn't trade any of that time. You know what? After 50 years, I'm still so in love with it. No, and I'd like to think you and I'm going to... Come on, I'm going to cheat, you're not kissing me. And you know what, we've actually, I said something the other week, I said, you know, over that 50 years, well 50 years and 11 months, too much, we fell in love many times since during that time, but always with each other. And there's lots of things that make up this chemistry of Annie and I, and the way we've managed so long and we still love each other. And one of the things we started was we started this thing about. Does anybody else have this? Any of you long married couples have this thing about pink and blue jobs?
Yeah.
Who said yeah? Yeah, well done. Yeah. So we have pink and blue jobs, and inevitably, the blue jobs tend to be the dirty ones. Blue jobs are the ones that the man of the partnership does, and the pink jobs are the one that the lady of the partnership does. So Anne gets all the easy jobs.
I'm the blue one.
The trouble is, when we decided, not long into our marriage, let's sort this out so we both know what our responsibility is and what we're supposed to do within this marriage to make it work. When she said to me about blue jobs, I thought she said blow jobs. Yes, give me some of that, give me some of that. They say your hearing goes as you get older, and I was going to remember that this time. And I say to her quite often, I say, didn't you say blowjobs? Anyway. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so thank you all for coming. It's been 50 years, hopefully it'll be a lot longer than that. And if you listen to me say that story, it's true that I jumped ship and we met and we fell in love. And I think one of the first things I did when I did come back from the pub in London, Barrier, was I got a tattoo, because that's what sailors do, don't they? And I got a tattoo, and it was done by a fella in Singapore called Johnny Two Thumbs. He said to me, he said, that tattoo, I'll guarantee it for 99 years. What a bloody sales pitch that was, because it's all gone faded. But it's still there, and it still says Mike and Anne True Love. And there's a lovely little song, I don't know if you know, it's called The Voyage. And it just talks about the story, the story how we started. And Roy, who's one of my ukulele friends, who plays with the Fuzzies, what I'm going to do is a rendition of the Voyage, right? And then, well, when he's done that, don't forget the spoon. If you want any more later, just help yourself. It's going to be there for about 45 minutes.
Could you just give us 2 seconds? Because there's a lovely little lady over there. Nick.
I said that.
Excuse me.